My key tips for managing arguments with your ADHD child. Number one, cognitive flexibility or all or nothing thinking. Keep in mind that cognitive flexibility is one of the core executive function skills, and since ADHD is an executive function developmental delay, it's really normal for kids with ADHD to get stuck, particularly when they're not getting their way. It's very common for them to resort to all or nothing thinking when things have to be one way or another, and it's very common for them to get stuck when they're not getting their way because of this all or nothing thinking. For many kids with ADHD, it can take them a long time to get over not getting their way. And as many of you know, many kids will follow their parents around the house or keep asking why, or keep asking the same questions over and over. Please keep in mind, you don't need to respond to that. That doesn't mean you're ignoring your child. It means you're choosing not to respond to the same question over and over. And you can explain that to your child. You can say, I'm not ignoring you, but I'm choosing not to answer the same question over and over. Number two, be ready for emotional manipulation. Because kids with ADHD have a propensity to get stuck, and they tend to also be very resourceful, many kids with ADHD will resort to emotional manipulation in an attempt to get their way, or as a way of getting back at their parent if they're angry at them for not giving in to what they want. Emotional manipulation often sounds like the child saying things such as, you don't care about me, you're not listening to me, if you loved me, you would let me do this, and so on. Emotional manipulation can be very triggering for many parents, so it's important for you to remember you don't need to respond to emotional manipulation with emotional reactivity or with a conversation. Again, that doesn't mean you're ignoring your child. It means you're choosing not to respond to statements that are meant to evoke guilt or worry. Number three, disconnect the power source when the argument is for novelty-seeking purposes. Very often, kids with ADHD start arguments because they are bored or they are novelty-seeking. The ADHD brain tends to be novelty-seeking, so this is why many kids with ADHD will say no to anything or become argumentative or oppositional, because getting that emotional reaction from parents or knowing that they can pull parents into the argument vortex is a form of novelty to them. So the way you handle that is by disconnecting the power source. What I mean by that is that you don't give energy into the argument. Think of it this way. Let's say you have a fan on that's making a lot of noise. Well, if the noise is bothering you, then you can unplug the fan and the noise stops. When you choose to disconnect the power source, you are no longer giving energy to the argument, and then what happens is it's no longer reinforcing for your child. Now, granted, things may get worse before they get better when you disconnect the power source. I can tell you that happened with my son. When I stopped responding to his provocative arguments, he would often escalate because he didn't like that was no longer working for him. Disconnecting the power source is one of the strategies I teach parents in Scaffolding Better Behavior, the ADHD Dude Parent Behavior Training Program, which is part of the ADHD Dude membership site. Next, avoid getting pulled into the argument, reasoning, and negotiation vortex. The argument vortex is when the child pulls the parent into an argument, and by the time the argument is over, it's not even about what the original topic was about. Again, kids with ADHD often use arguing as a form of novelty-seeking behavior. So often they are more than happy to keep on arguing with the intention that they can eventually wear you down so they can get what they want. The reasoning vortex is when parents try to reason with their child because they want them to understand something and they want their child to feel heard. However, you cannot reason with inflexibility. So if you think that reasoning with your child is going to make them less inflexible, that's not going to work. The way to help your child become more flexible is by not accommodating their inflexibility. This is why I have a saying, flexibility is cultivated, inflexibility is accommodated. The negotiation vortex is when the parent tries to negotiate everything with the child in the hope that the child will be agreeable to what the parent wants or because they want the child's approval. I have to tell you, I found that a lot of parents have been taught to get pulled into the negotiation vortex by therapists and parent coaches, and while the intention is good, it's not helpful. I have a saying that certain things in life can be negotiated and certain things cannot. And sometimes you just need to step into your parental authority and say, I'm sorry, this is not something that we can negotiate. This is what needs to happen. And yes, your child may be temporarily upset or angry with you. They may try to use emotional manipulation to get what they want. But again, they need to learn that not everything in life can be negotiated because nobody else in life is going to negotiate everything with them like you would. Last one, avoid over-explaining, over-validating feelings, and over-empathizing. Often, I see parents do this with the best of intentions because they want to be empathetic towards their child, but often they're over-explaining and over-validating and over-empathizing actually escalates the child more because it just leads the child to believe that eventually I will get what I want. And often, kids with ADHD become more emotionally dysregulated the more parents talk. Explain something one time, validate how they're feeling, and you can offer some empathy as well, but don't keep doing it over and over. Keep the conversation short. And I have a saying 80% less words when you're having a conversation that could result in your child becoming more emotionally escalated. If you would like more effective strategies specifically designed for parents of kids with ADHD, please check out Scaffolding Better Behavior, the ADHD Dude Parent Behavior Training Program, which is part of the ADHD Dude membership site. And I will speak to you soon. Take care.